Google Maps helps users navigate through the world using a range of technical strategies, such as satellite imaging and street photos taken by Google Maps cars equipped with cameras. The GPS system is a useful tool for millions of people around the world. Of course, in the midst of collecting endless data and photos, a few questionable things have occurred. These few photos from the app turned out to be creepy, strange, and even shocking. Number 5. This Google Maps discovery was found and discussed online in November of 2018. Then 55-year-old Robert Morton was exploring Google Earth for fun, something that many people do as a simple hobby, when he stumbled across something odd. He first noticed the vague outline of something massive in the water off the east coast of Edinburgh, near Portobello. Intrigued by the mysterious object, he zoomed in closer and closer to observe a clearer view. He was able to identify the discovery more and more with each shot. He began taking screenshots of the scene in dark blue water as soon as he confirmed what he was looking at. A large, fully intact airplane was sitting deep in the water, much to Robert's surprise. The plane showed no signs of a crash, and there were no reports of a missing plane that had been covered in that area. While it was found just a few miles from Edinburgh, there's also no data of a plane crashing to or from an airport. So if it wasn't the result of a crash, why was such a large passenger plane submerged in the ocean? The internet speculated that this could have been a missing plane from somewhere else in the world that went off track and ended up there before landing or possibly experiencing a gentle crash into the water. Robert had a different theory though. He assumed that the plane was actually flying over the water, and Google Maps happened to catch a shot of it as it passed. This was apparently confirmed by a professional at Google Maps corporate. He said that the image did in fact show a plane flying over the sea. It was argued that the water would not be nearly reflective enough to snap such a detailed mirror image of a plane that far in the air. But the spokesman stated that Google Maps uses both photos and satellite images to create scenes and locations, meaning that some spots are made of thousands of photos and other data, making the plane appear so clearly. While this is most likely the logical explanation of the mysterious sunken plane, some users still insist that some kind of plane crash conspiracy is going on, and Google is working with the government to cover up the truth. While that may sound outlandish, it's not completely impossible, and the truth is subjective unless otherwise confirmed. Number 4. These images were found in the Martha Chapel Cemetery in Huntsville, Texas, around September of 2018. Before getting into the unsettling photos that were captured at this location, it's important to discuss the alleged paranormal and historical background of the cemetery. Martha Chapel Cemetery and a small church were built in the 1830s. According to some travel guides, the location is one of the oldest burial grounds in Walker County, East Texas, and one of very few old cemeteries still open to the public. Apparently, a nearby road named Bowden Road leads to the cemetery and has carried the nickname Demon's Road, thanks to a series of alleged paranormal events, sightings, and encounters that travelers have reported experiencing throughout the years. While very little evidence is available to support these rumors, countless stories have been shared across the web of the creepy street and its even creepier neighbor, the cemetery. Travel expert Dana Goolsby stated in an online post that the area features disturbing encounters and an eerie feeling that sweeps over anyone who dares disrupt the spirits said to be lingering. Considering these facts, the photos captured on Google Maps of the area seem much more credible. In the photos, which are captured and published online, a street view shot of the cemetery's front gates seems calming and beautiful at first. The images display a sunny day with thriving plant life and an overall aesthetically pleasing scene. However, upon a closer inspection, two very terrifying and mysterious things can be seen. The first peculiar find features a little girl standing behind a tree directly in front of the camera's shot. She peers from behind the tree with a pale and almost translucent face. She seems to be wearing a mischievous grin and stares down the camera. Of course, some speculate that this is just an average little girl playing around. However, there's no explanation as to why a child would be wandering through a historical cemetery completely alone. Furthermore, she obviously resembles a spirit thanks to her pale and translucent skin. If this weren't creepy enough though, perhaps the dark figure in the back will have you convinced. In the background of this photo, to the left and several yards away on the other side of the cemetery, there appears to be a dark figure standing among the graves. The figure is either entirely black in appearance or is wearing a long black cloak over its body. Users speculate that this could be the spirit of the Grim Reaper or the ghost of a body in the cemetery, or just a creepy visitor that wore mourning attire. Either way, both figures are unsettling enough. Plus, they effectively creep out visitors using Google Maps to explore the historical location. Even if the figures are just real people, they're set up in such a spooky manner that they add a general aura of discomfort to the already disturbing area known for paranormal activity. While Google works hard to collect data from locations all over the world, sometimes they fall a little short in their content and sometimes fail to correct their mistakes. The best example of this is the street view of New Baltimore town in Greene County, New York. The images from this video, filmed and uploaded in 2013, look like abstract drip paintings of a dark city. Apparently, Google cars in the area collected a series of normal, lovely photos of the areas surrounding the city. However, upon entering the area, their cameras glitched in unison unbeknownst to the drivers. While you can still identify a series of buildings, homes, and streets, the photos are in negative color, making the scene very dark. Other aspects of the images feature blurred images, smeared colors, and white camera flares. Overall, it's hard to imagine the area as a bustling city since there's no sign of human beings, traffic, or parked cars. The overall tone of these photos suggests a ghost town. And while there's nothing creepy technically going on in these photos, and they're just the result of a technical complication, they're still quite unsettling. At the time of this video's upload, Google Maps has not addressed the issue by fixing any of the images. Instead, the eerie town has remained such for the last 3 years, confusing and even scaring some Google Maps explorers. Apparently, other areas of the town were captured just fine, and demonstrate a bright, thriving view of the city, making the desolate area even more unnerving. In 2005, Google finally sent out new cars to collect new images. In 2016, those images were implemented and the city was shown a proper street view. This footage, however, is still a haunting documentation that could easily be used in a horror film or dark art project. Number 2. While there are rare cases in which some users explore Google Maps or Google Earth and stumble across mysterious images, there are also cases where it isn't apparent that Google Maps holds an image of something disturbing until after it's discovered by other means. This case is the perfect example of that sort of situation. In Byron Center, Michigan, in 2015, a local funeral home was decorating for the upcoming Christmas holiday. Employees rented a lift to make their Christmas tree set up easier. While several feet off the ground, employees in the lift happened to glance over at a nearby pond, which was perfectly visible from above the trees. In the middle of the pond, they noticed a large mass which they found strange. After some debate amongst the team, they realized the strange mass was the roof of a car. Without hesitation, they called law enforcement. Officers arrived and the car was eventually pulled from the pond. The car was then inspected and a horrifying discovery was found inside. A man's body that had significantly decayed was found inside of the vehicle. At first, the whole ordeal was baffling to investigators, but after digging through a series of missing persons cold cases, they were able to identify the man as Davy Lee Niles. In October 2006, family members reported Niles missing after several days of his absence. A search and investigation followed, but without any evidence or leads, it eventually went cold. In 2011, 5 years after he had gone missing, his family assumed that the elderly man, 72 years old, was no longer living. They published an obituary for him which said Davy Lee Niles, age 72 of Wyoming, passed and only God knows the time and place. His family was relieved when his body was pulled from the pond because they were finally able to close the mystery and put their loved one to rest. Although a cause has never been shared, officers claim no foul play was involved in his passing. While all of this is quite unsettling enough though, there's another aspect that's somehow even more chilling. After things slowed down following the discovery, users decided to check the Google Maps image of the lake. At first, there doesn't appear to be anything more than a chunk of wood or random material. But closer shots, however, reveal a more detailed image of what is obviously a vehicle. This means that a view of the car holding Niles' body was available on Google Maps for several years without anyone noticing. Despite the frequent exploration that some users conduct while on maps, it's unlikely it ever would have been discovered. Still, the image is an eerie reminder of how dark truths and evidence can be found in the most random of places. Number 1. A 40-year-old Florida resident known as William Earl Moult went missing on November 8, 1997. The night before, William was hanging out at a local nightclub. He called his wife around 9:30 p.m. to tell her that he would be home soon. According to witnesses, William left the bar around 11 p.m. His family claimed he wasn't a heavy drinker, and fellow bargoers confirmed that he didn't seem heavily intoxicated when he left. He was never seen again and was shortly reported missing after not returning home the next day. A search followed that covered every corner of possible locations that the man would have stopped at. Still, years passed by, and no evidence or leads were found in the case, and it inevitably went cold. Sometime in September of 2019, though, a Florida man was playing around on Google Maps and decided to visit his former home in Palm Beach. All was well until he noticed something large in the pond a few yards behind his previous home. In the pond, a massive object, which resembled a vehicle, was submerged in the middle of the pond. The user was alarmed and quickly contacted the current resident of the home to inform them of the discovery. The new resident used a personal drone camera to fly over the pond and confirm the claim for himself. When he spotted the car, he called law enforcement. The car, damaged from years underwater, was pulled out and the interior was investigated. Inside, police found the skeletal remains of a male victim that had clearly passed away a very long time ago. Further investigation identified the body as William. It's unknown exactly what happened in this case after the car was discovered, but it's fortunate that the previous homeowner decided to peek around on Google Maps. Otherwise, the man's loved ones probably would have never found him. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos. And if you enjoyed this narration, maybe consider checking out my personal channel at youtube.com/ty_knots.